appointed hour, so we shall make the start, and welcome to the meeting of the Liverpool City Combined Authority. We've received a piece of correspondence, so I'll hand over to Mrs. Sanders.
Thank you. Earlier this week, I received the resignation as chair of the Combined Authority from Councillor Phil Davis. The Constitution requires the Combined Authority appoint a chair. So that's the first question.
Thank you very much for that, Mrs. Sanderson. Can I invite nominations for chair of the authority? Councillor Davies.
Yeah, thanks, Barry. I'd like to nominate Joe Anderson, and if I could just say a few words. I mean, I have formally resigned, and obviously there's been lots of stuff in the press, but I'd just like to sort of take this opportunity to say, you know, how much I've enjoyed my role as chair. You know, it's been a really incredibly dynamic and exciting 18 months, and to get the devolution deal over the line was a real achievement, not just for me, but for all the leaders and the officers who helped out. And I just felt it was the right time personally. I've got a big agenda over in Wirral as leader of Wirral, and I need to kind of rebalance my time more over there. So I thought this was the right time to make this change. And I'm not going to go away. I'm tempted to use the Mark Twain quote that reports of my death have been much exaggerated. So I'm still going to be around playing my role in the City Region Cabinet. But just in terms of Joe taking over, I mean, Joe has got a real kind of passion for the City Region, and he's got the experience and I think the skills to really kind of take us to the next stage in our devolution journey. I think it's an incredibly exciting time for the City Region, and it's a really exciting agenda that we've got. And we've got an opportunity in terms of our agenda around growing the economy to really move the City Region to the premier City Region in the UK, I think. So I'm really looking forward to working with Joe and the other leaders, playing my role in the Cabinet. And I just again like to thank everybody who've helped me over the last 18 months in my role as chair, and I wish Joe all the very best in taking over the role. Thanks very much.
Okay, prematurely we've not had it seconded, but I'm sure we're about it. Councillor Moorhead.
I second that nomination.
Thank you very much. No further nominations. Can we agree that then, please? Agreed. Thank you very much. And can I just place on record all of the fellow leaders' thanks and appreciation for the stewardship that you have done as chair of that, and helping us get that devolution deal over the line. So thank you very much. Joe, you're the elected chair.
Can I just start by quickly saying my thanks to Phil. I mean, a lot of people over the last 18 months have tried to portray the City Region Cabinet as not united. I actually believe that that is not the case. They haven't seen how we've been working with each other, how hard we've been working. And I think Phil's stewardship in that has been absolutely essential to get us to where we are. So I just want to pay tribute. And as you said, you haven't died. You're very, very much alive, and you're going to be playing an important role as we progress and move forward. So I'll make some comments on that, but as we get to, I think, item 5 on the agenda. So if we then move on to item 1 on our agenda today, which is the apologies for absence. We've actually had an apology from Councillor Mann, from Sefton, and John's here, John Fairclough. Welcome, John, as an alternate for Ian. No other apologies have been received, so we move on to item 2, which is declarations of interest. Any interest to declare from any of the members or officers? No? Okay, so we then move on to item 3, page 1 to 4 on your agenda, which is the minutes of the last meeting. They are here for our approval as a correct record. Can I move that they should be accepted as a true correct record. Okay. Item 4 is the interim management arrangements, the head of paid service. It's the first report is on the arrangements, the interim arrangements, and Angela, can I ask you just to speak to this and give us a report on where we're up to, please?
Yes, Chair, thank you. Members will recall in October a report was brought which explained Dave Brown's appointment as Chief Executive of Transport for the North. David was both head of paid service and the lead officer for transport. It is a statutory requirement that the combined authority has a head of paid service. Although there is no statutory requirement to respect the lead officer for transport, it is deemed appropriate to have one in order to push forward all these schemes that relate to transport in the city region. Accordingly, the reporting is self-explanatory and indicates what interim arrangements are proposed to members, and that is that Jeffrey will be appointed interim head of paid service and that Frank Rogers be appointed lead officer of transport. So that's those appointments are under consideration, Chair.
Okay, so in short, I mean, it's self-explanatory report. It's this tells us where we're at, how we move forward. Is the recommendation as set out in that report? Please. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We move on then to item 5, which is the devolution of powers and resources to the city region. I just wanted to put up a small, very short presentation of that. Jed is generally as well to make some comments, but if any questions are asked. But can I, have we got a presentation I asked for slides? Okay, there we go. Okay, so if we look at the behind me, you can see basically what we all know is why we entered into the arrangements with central government about the devolution agenda. And you can see very, very clearly that it is mainly about accelerating economic growth, but also about increasing productivity, growing jobs. In the public sector reform agenda, it is about reducing costs, but equally and more importantly about improving outcomes across the whole public sector. That's what we intend to do. And the opportunities exist for us in terms of to develop economic development better, working with the LEP and the private sector across the city region to improve our transport infrastructure, the housing offer that we have within the city region, and develop better links between employment and skills, again working with the LEP, the private sector and the agencies that exist across the piece, across the whole city region. What we intend to do, because it's absolutely, for me, Phil talked about this being a really exciting opportunity for the city region. He's absolutely right that this gives us an opportunity to actually join up, work together to develop not only a common purpose but a common vision about how we transform the whole of the city region. And it is going to be a Metro Cabinet that is now established with responsibilities for certain areas being led by leaders of the districts across the city region. And in that regard, Councillor Davis, Phil will have responsibility for economic development across the whole city region, a massive portfolio with massive opportunities around how we transform and grow the economy across the piece. It is absolutely clear that in Sefton, in St Helens, in Wirral, in Knowsley, in Liverpool and Halton, there are opportunities for economic growth. We've got to exploit them, we've got to move them forward, and we've got to make sure that they deliver for the whole of the city region and the people that live here. So it's up to Phil to work with cabinet members from regeneration and officers across regeneration to look at what are those best opportunities and how we can support them develop using the single investment pot, using the growth fund money that we've got the gain share money that we've got, and make sure that we actually start delivering on projects that bring in extra revenue and more opportunities for the city region. Make one thing absolutely clear, that there will be, as announced yesterday in the comprehensive spending review, more devolution to cities and city regions, and basically whether they like it or whether they don't, it's government's intention to passport funding and responsibility onto city regions. So we have to be prepared for that, not only prepared, but actually be visionary in how we use that opportunity. So for me, economic development is crucial to growing our economy and creating the revenue that we need to support the services that are being taken away by a government that is hell-bent on continuing to reduce public spending across the piece. There's a massive role and responsibility that that job entails, and I'm confident that Phil can deliver on that, working with everybody, the leaders and ourselves, and working with me to negotiate even more powers from the government that enables us to do even more. On transport, Rob Powell was going to be leading on transport, an absolutely vital component of the regeneration agenda and the skills and housing agenda. Whenever we look at building houses, and we will, I promise you we will, then we need to connect up transport to those places where people live, with the opportunities across the whole city region. So Rob will be working closely with the board, with Liam and with the team here at Merseytravel to look at transport and how we connect communities better with the transport opportunities that we've got through either Oyster, how we work with Merseyrail and the bus companies. Now, this isn't to say that we're going to get rid of the bus companies, but we want a better deal and we want better connected services across the whole city region. So again, a hugely important area for us to develop. So I look forward again to that close collaboration between Liam and Merseytravel, working alongside Rob and officers across the city region. On housing, a massive, massive opportunity for us to seize the initiative to not only build housing. I mean, often we see in this country housing being branded as a social requirement. We need to change the mindset to make sure that we see housing not just as a social need and requirement, which it is, but as a business opportunity for us, not only to create apprenticeships and jobs, but to mean that we get a revenue from that to further invest. And we can use that working with government, using and exploiting the new home bonus, but looking at our gain share funds, and Barry will be working on planning and housing across the piece to look at those opportunities where we need to develop sites for housing across the whole piece, married into transport and married into the other areas that we're in control of. So again, they will all have a link with each other: regeneration housing, housing with health, housing with transport. There will be those linkages, but a hugely important area for us, so that we can not only build new houses but generate a revenue, and it's a new way of thinking, either working with the private sector, working with the public sector in terms of the RSLs and the pension funds or whoever, to massively improve the housing offer that we need to improve across the whole city region. So that's an exciting area. And we move on to employment and skills. Ian is going to link on that. You've heard me talk about the lack of skills across the whole piece, if you like, in different sectors, whether it's in the opportunities that Peel are going to deliver. We've got a shortage and a paucity of skills in port logistics. In terms of construction, if we're talking about building houses, then we've got to get apprenticeships and we've got to get the skills that are required to meet that demand. Roads and transport infrastructure, again, we're going to have to meet that demand. So the skills agenda, working with the community colleges and working with the higher education institutes and our schools across the whole piece, is absolutely vital for us as a city region. When we're going out there and we're talking to people about investment opportunities within the city region and saying to them, please come to Liverpool city region, we've got land, we've got major opportunities with the most friendliest city region in the world, we've got links, we've got transport, we've got people that will welcome you here. We've also got to say we've got the skills that you require and the desire to meet the skills that you need as well as businesses. So that's an important area. Health and well-being, Andy is going to take on that responsibility. That will link into the next phase of negotiations and discussions with central government about how we manage that. You'll have seen the debate yesterday in Parliament about more devolvement of funding to councils to operate and look after the elderly people within our city. But more importantly than that, we have to get it right, making sure that we have the primary sector, the secondary sector, and the acute sector working together with the community sector to make sure that the spend where we spend is reduced and the money that we save invested back into better outcomes for the people within the city region. That's the most important challenge and one of our social responsibilities that I believe we actually don't deliver as good as we could or should be doing within that sector, and we need to do a lot more. And again, it's a major area of public sector reform that we need to embrace and take on and make it work for ourselves. So I'm looking forward to engaging with Andy and government in terms of negotiating a deal for the Liverpool City region, not the Manchester deal, but a deal that's right for the Liverpool City region and for its people that live here. So that's an exciting area of opportunity. And of course my responsibility as chair of the combined authority will be to do exactly what Phil done, work with the team of leaders, but negotiating with government about the next phase and delivery on this phase, making sure that we actually deliver on this phase early. We have gains here that will be available to us by next year. So April, we will have that money. It's how we use that. Government will want to make sure that we are delivering on the promises that we make in regards to delivering on that money. So it's up to us to keep an eye on that. It's up to us to actually not only make sure that we're delivering on phase 1, but we're starting the negotiations on phase 2. As I said, comprehensive spending review, and Greg Clark's statement yesterday is by 2021 there will be business rates devolved, there will be local government funding, no more coming from central government, and it's up to us to prepare the Liverpool City region for that eventuality, and that's what we're about. So there will be public sector reform, whether it's been in housing and how we deliver that, on health, employment and transport, all of those things that I will have an overview on, but working closely alongside the leaders within the city region. So I can tell you that we are not going to sit back and wait until 2017. Every single leader now has a responsibility. They will be part of the Metro Cabinet, and they will have a cabinet of cabinet leaders. They will be leading with officers across the city region in their areas to deliver better outcomes for the city region and for the people that live in the city region. And as Phil said, and I'll repeat, and it's a hugely exciting opportunity for us, a hugely exciting opportunity that we can actually try to make things better. One thing is for sure, we will not get new money from this government, and so we have to deliver in better ways, in a different way, with a different mindset about growing the economy to help protect the people that we represent. So I'm excited about the future. I'm honoured and humbled by the support that I've had from my colleagues to take on this job, this chair of the combined authority, and I look forward to actually entering into further negotiations. So we will, as I said, have more opportunities for debate and discussion with people across the whole city region. I think that's important. I think we will have to look at engaging with people in road shows and providing them with information, not just politicians, but the public as well, the voluntary sector, the trade unions, about how we intend to work with each other in partnership, as I say, to deliver much better for the future. So I don't know whether the Chief Executive has anything that you want to add in terms of the report to that. So it's an offer to anybody to ask questions, maybe any of the people not involved or yourselves or any of the public, if anybody wants to ask any questions, happy to take any. Yeah.
Will you be having a referendum?
Are we having a referendum? No, the government actually haven't provided for a referendum in the act that is going through Parliament. So the answer to that is no. Yes?
Devolution means privatisation of the NHS, isn't that right? And how do you feel about that, seeing that, you know, people are going to be hoodwinked into believing that the NHS is safe, but in reality Sir Simon Stevens' 5-year forward plan is being put into operation as part of devolution?
Okay, so your question is that we're being about privatising the health service, what we do in terms of the negotiations. The answer to that is no, it won't. This isn't about hospitals, this isn't about GP practices, this isn't about the chemists, all parts of the health service. This is about trying to work with communities, with our councils locally and the voluntary sector and all of the people that work in adult social care to deliver a better outcome for them. That's what it's about. Not
You've
about
not answered the question.
I'll give you the opportunity to ask questions, so please don't ask me. I'll answer it. I've just answered your question. No, it's not
that
about
isn't an
the
answer.
Well, that's, I believe it is, and that's where we are. Any other questions? Yeah.
Isn't this about imposing cuts? You're going to take the blame for the cuts so that the government can say, not on our watch, mate, it's what you've done.
Okay, well, it's in life sometimes there are cards dealt to you that you can't give back if you're in that particular game. Whether we like it or whether we don't, central governments are going to continue with their austerity approach and give us less and less money. People who think that we're actually sending money back to government live in a dream world. Government is simply
I
taking
didn't hear
it away.
anyone say that.
And what we are doing, and what the people around the table in front of me will be doing, is trying to deliver in a better way, managing what we've been given and trying to make life better for the people that elected us. And that's what we intend to do. Okay.
Excuse me.
No, you've asked the question. The woman next to you.
What's that? Isn't that, there's no just rhetoric, we're going to try and we're going to manage. How do you really intend to mitigate the damage that these cuts will further impact on the communities, like you've said you will? How will you actually intend to mitigate the damage that these further cuts will do? Or do you think you could actually stand up for the community that you actually say you represent and start saying no to these cuts?
Let me tell you about public sector reform and the change agenda. 5 years ago, when I was elected as leader, people told me that the city would be closed and it would be shut down. And it isn't, it's vibrant, it's creating opportunities and new jobs. And we shut some services, adult social care services within the city, but we created 4 re-enablement hubs that are providing a better way of supporting people and keeping them out of hospital. And working with the CCT, working with the health service, we'll be able to do that. You know, my leader, Jeremy Corbyn, sent me a letter, as he did all members of the Labour Party yesterday, where he said, you have to, in the best way you can, manage the cuts that the Tories are inflicting on your councils. And that's what he said, and that's what I intend to do. Every single day, the people in front of you here, our council leaders, every single day are fighting the Tory cuts by protecting services and doing as much as they can. Well, in May, you've got an opportunity, as you always do, to vote against me and to vote against those leaders.
We will.
In the meantime, the people that elected us, we will continue to provide and do what we were elected to do.
People were hoodwinked.
Okay? Now, isn't that great that my first meeting I've invited the representatives from the public to have their say? So we've done that. Anybody else?
It's a tick box operation.
Can you be quiet, please? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe. First of all, congratulations on your election as Chair of the Combined Authority, and thanks to Phil for his efforts in what was at times a challenging negotiation. And I think, as you've demonstrated today, a negotiation that's been particularly successful as far as the city region is concerned. Just bringing it back to perhaps a more positive bent in terms of what's been achieved here. I noticed one of the key issues is around the skills and training agenda, and I think again it's something that we've all been minded of in terms of ensuring that the as you rightly say, limited resources that are available in that particular scheme are utilised most effectively, more effectively. And I think the great thing about devolution, whether it's a great thing in terms of what resource we're going to get from the government, the fact is I would much prefer to see decisions taken here by local political leaders about where that limited amount of resources is spent, rather than Whitehall mandates who simply don't have a clue what's going on in the Liverpool City region. So I just wanted to say welcome the agenda that's being put forward. Would obviously urge us to work with community organisations, the voluntary sector and indeed the business community, because they probably confirm that one of the key things that the business community have expressed concern over many years now is that skills gap that has been developed over the years. And as I say, that's largely to do with the fact that central government has basically delivered a one-size-fits-all solution, which hasn't been a particularly good solution for Liverpool. So I'm looking forward to seeing the work that we do in that area in particular. And as I say, I think if we can engage with the wider community and the business community effectively going forward, that will be a big tick in the box.
Yeah, thanks for that, Frank. And it will be, of course, generally working with, through the left, working with the private sector outside the left, working with the trade unions and the voluntary sector as well, to make sure that they can work in partnership with us on delivering this whether it's through apprenticeship jobs and opportunities for local businesses within the city region. That's exactly what we need to do. You're absolutely right. The most important thing here is that we will, rather than Whitehall ministers, administer the cuts and challenges that we face. We'll be able to manage them to protect as many people as we possibly can, but growing the economy and creating jobs as we have been trying to do across the city region. Okay, so can we agree that recommendation as set out in item 5 with all the changes there that I've outlined? Okay, so we move on to item 6, pages 17 to 20 on your agenda. It's clear that we, clearly after that debate, all need to be focused on delivering the same outcomes, increased growth, as I said, improved productivity for people. And I think having a single growth strategy is important to us. So there are, the report sets out the debate and the discussions and what was said at the left away day. So I don't know whether, Robert, you want to take the opportunity to just make any comments around that before we accept and note the recommendations within it, yeah?
Yeah, thanks very much, Joe. First of all, I just extend my congratulations to you, and also particularly to Phil for great leadership over recent times, and not just being the combined authority, but making those difficult and successful negotiations on devolution. I think we are starting a new era here. We talk about the LEP, that's a public-private sector partnership, and it is a partnership. We have colleagues here on our board, but also the private sector expectations are high. Sense of urgency here, real opportunity to take this economy forward. And you're right in saying we can be the best in the region in England, in the UK, with all the natural assets we have. And I think just taking the mic just very briefly on Frank's point, the skills deficit, it is about aligning the skills with the needs of the employers, not just the deficit itself, it's matching that appropriate skill set that the employers require. But onto this single growth strategy, an important document. It emanated from that away day, but it sets out a vision for the future. It's not an action plan as such, but what it does do is tell us, describe what we think success looks like and what should we be striving for. And I think set out particularly in paragraphs 4, 8, and we will see what success looks like. The private sector will be key in all this, but to drive those growth, drive that economy, but it won't have without collaboration, partnership, and vision and ambition.
Okay. Any comments on that? I know Phil attended as well. Any comments?
I mean, I just endorse both what Robert and Frank said. I mean, I think it is important now we've got the devolution deal that we do have a single growth strategy for the city region. I think we've got to be really ambitious, and I think this paper kind of sets out the kind of framework that we're going to be developing. and I can look forward to to helping to develop this going forward. So I absolutely endorse this report, Chair. Thanks.
Okay, and we will get an opportunity to discuss it again, come back in February, so we'll discuss the report then, okay? Okay, so if we then agree those recommendations as set out on page 17, we agree those, please? Okay, so we move on to item 7, which is the region growth deal schemes. And again, it's pretty explicit, it's just set out. We already have significant projects to deliver. There's 264 million in the growth deal. It's part of the report that explains that. Frank, do you want to take us through this report? Just give us an update on it again.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, very briefly, it's an update report on progress of the shortlisted city region schemes from a transport perspective, and it's asking for approval of the next 2 full business cases for schemes within that programme of activity. The full programme of schemes are listed at 3.2 in the report, and specifically what we're looking for is approval of the next 2 schemes. Scheme for the Silver Jubilee Bridge maintenance work, and it's the Linden Island scheme in St Helens. At 4.4 in the document there, the outcome of the full business case production for each of those schemes is presented. Windmill Island achieved a benefit cost ratio of 6.4, which is classed as very high value for money, and Silver Jubilee Bridge achieved a benefit cost ratio of 1.6, which is defined as medium value for money. There are no surprises around 1.6 for Silver Jubilee because it is a maintenance scheme. It was always acknowledged that that would be a scheme that had a relatively low benefit cost ratio. But it is considered by the independent assessor that we've brought forward for the growth deal scheme that both schemes are worthy for forwarding to yourselves for approval in relation to growth deal funding, and they've previously gone through the Transport Advisory Group for the Liverpool City region to recommend to yourselves approval for growth deal funding. Happy to take any further questions that might be in relation to the report.
Okay, so the report is requesting us to endorse that funding commitment. Why not? Because it's clear that there's benefits to be had. So can we agree that? Any questions that Frank raised? No, can we agree that report then? Thanks for that, Frank. It's a clear report. Okay, moving on then to item 8, which is the Skills Capital Investment Fund, and it's the low carbon strand within that, and it's got some investment recommendations that are clearly set out. Mark is going to speak to that report. Mark, you want to make any?
Thanks, Chair. I think the paper is fairly self-evident, but just to draw the board's attention to the point, clearly this sits within the growth fund that was negotiated through the growth deal. This is the first year of that. There's 1.5 million of a total of 6.5 million was allocated for this year to go into low carbon activity in FE colleges in an arrangement agreed with BIS. Effectively, that distribution of resource is based around early win low carbon projects within local authorities, within local colleges, whereby to reduce their energy costs and increase energy management efficiency. So the recommendation to the authority is to accept and acknowledge the outcomes of the appraisal process, which was handled independently, to endorse those recommendations and endorse the mechanics of a levy, which will effectively allow administration and further low carbon support to those colleges and other organisations to be funded through this mechanism.
Okay, thanks for that update, Mark. I mean, this was something that we discussed in the summer, wasn't it, in August? And basically this is just an update. There's some recommendations in the report on page 49. So just given that update, and as I said that we've already agreed more or less through that, can we accept that recommendation? Yeah.
Can I just make one comment?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Just this is innovative. It came out of our local growth deal sort this creatively. We've got £41 million apart from it, in my opinion. That was one of the originators of this. It just shows you the city reaching in action, bringing forward new ideas, £41 million, energy saving to the college, and it shows you what we can do working together and our creative thinking.
Yep, I think so. So given a note of those comments from Ron, can we agree with the report, please? Okay, thank you. We then move on to item 9, which is the SUDS strategy, or the SUD strategy. No, not oxidase. It's actually the Sustainable Urban Development section of the report. It's government allow core cities to allocate up to 10% of the ERDF programme, and it's basically our strategy to implement that. So there are recommendations set out within that report we'll intend to go through this year. This is any comments from any of the officers or any of the members on that? Okay, give that the substation. Okay, so can we agree that recommendation then, please? Yeah. Okay, 10 is the Combined Authority Budget Monitoring Statement as of the 1st of April 2015 through to September 2015. And so, again, it's pretty clear within the report, tells us all about it. It's the Q2. So, John, any comments that you need to bring to our attention or whatever on that? I think it's pretty clear in the report. So.
It's pretty clear. The only thing that I would bring attention to, because it's unusual to present it in this manner, is we have taken the opportunity in this report to ask for approval of an allocation of skills capital money. It was previously approved that this amount would go to these FE colleges, but we were asked to have a look at an allocation formula. Rather than produce a separate report on that, there is a separate recommendation for that allocation formula and how that works with the colleges. That's at 3.10. Yeah. Other than that, you're right, it should be quite self-explanatory. And there's a travel committee that considered it in some depth.
Okay, and I think we more or less agreed the allocation anyway. We had a conversation about it, so pretty relaxed about that. Any comments from anybody on it? Okay, so can we agree that recommendation then? Okay, if we then, we've got 2 sets of minutes to be considered. This is the Merseytravel Committee, which minutes from October 2015. Any comments on those minutes? No? Can we agree those then? And then it's the Merseytravel Committee minutes of the 5th of November. And again, for us to note really those minutes, so can we agree those parts of the process? Can we agree that? Okay, fine. There are no other urgent items for us to discuss this morning, so can I tell you that the next meeting of the Combined Authority is on the 22nd of January, and I declare the meeting closed and wish you all a Merry Christmas. Thank you. Thank you.